JamZel Ask and Tell. In this episode, we will be talking about insecurities.
It's a big one.
But before we jump into that, we're going to play a little game, and it's called the laughing game. The objective of the game is whoever laughs the least wins. We're going to show each other things, and whoever laughs, I just repeated myself. Okay. I have to think of something corny and immature. I'm just kidding. You found something?
Yeah.
Okay, you go.
Alright.
No, I wasn't ready.
You said you go. She was ready. That's 1 point for your boy. Don't worry, I'll let y'all see the video. I'll probably throw it in at the end if this isn't too long. Yeah. So that's 1 point. Chop that up.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So you're making me nervous.
Unforgivable act of almost smiling before he managed to smother it. There's no smiling in Kanye world. Kanye never quit. As for Kim, she wants Instagram. See, I do smile. Not too often though, because it causes wrinkles. But at least when Kanye gets caught without his trademark scowl, he howls. She's sweating. Just smile and forget it. Gino, CNN, New York.
They almost got me. Y'all almost got me with that smile.
Okay.
Cool. Alright. That's 1-0.
Yeah.
And what you do, and you do many, many things.
Yes.
But explain, because I think some people are looking at that saying, what is it?
Well, you know, I'm a music mogul.
Right.
I'm a producer.
Right.
I'm a DJ. I'm an executive.
DJ.
For the last 10 years,
Who is this guy?
I'm on one. All I do is win. You know what I'm saying? You know, the list goes on. Down. Don't look at Jay-Z.
Alright, so 1-1.
No, 2-1.
Oh, I have 2?
No, I have 2.
When did you get 2? You only got 1 point, girl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, don't get ahead of yourself.
1-1.
1-1.
Okay.
Jamila, your birthday's tomorrow. You're about to be 21. Are you excited?
Got her!
Okay.
Alright, 2-1.
Speaking video. What the hell is that?
Well, this video. So, a good friend once genuinely asked me the question.
My hair looks cool
Teddy's
like
speaking video. What the hell is that?
So, a good friend
that. My hair really
once
looks cool.
genuinely asked me the
You like
question.
Teddy's speaking video. What the hell is that?
Oh, Tay.
Well,
I guess that's
So-
it.
Uh,
But it's alright.
So 1 for 1.
In essence, today, like Jamila has stated, our video is going to be on insecurities within the relationship. Let's see, who should go first?
I'll go first.
Alright.
So, the reason why I chose this game for this topic, even though it might be a little, is because I get jealous very easily. If Denzel's laughing at another girl's jokes, or he compliments another girl, says that she's pretty, he tells a girl that he wants to pray with her, anything along those lines, I'm just like, it's gotten better throughout the years though, because you know it's like you gotta know what you want to deal with and what you don't want to deal with. And I've decided I'm going to deal with that because I have to realize Denzel and I are two different people, okay?
This comes up in every video.
He is very expressive and like affectionate and outwardly emotional with everybody. And so I don't want to say it doesn't feel special when he's not like that with me, but it's just like it doesn't make sense to me because I'm only that way with him. So it's like I've had to understand, okay, Denzel is just a really friendly person and I'm basically not if we're looking at one extreme or the other. And so just because that's how he basically communicates with the human race and I don't, there's still a special place for me in his heart.
Yeah, I agree. I am an expressionate person. As you stated, I think in our last video, I just naturally like to make people feel good about themselves. The thing is, I do this to both guys and girls. So like, if I tell a girl like, oh, you know, you're really pretty or whatever, or I like your dress or whatever it is, I tell guys the same thing, like, yo, Tony, my man, yo, those shoes are real, you know what I mean? Like, or look, yo, you always look fresh, dude. And
But the thing is, I know that he's not gay. He's only attracted to people with
yeah, so I just naturally like to make people feel good about themselves. You know, I like to go the extra mile. I don't know. This is just how I am. I'm just like naturally like I like to encourage people. I like to make people feel good about themselves. I don't lie to them. If you can't sing, then there's people out there who will go to you and go out of their way to let you know, girl, you did so great. You sung so well. You did. See, I'm not like that. If I don't think that you can sing, I'm not going to tell you that you can't sing, but I'm also not going to go out of my way to, like, you know, encourage you about that. If you ask me, I'm going to try and finesse a way out of it, but yeah. My point is, I'm just naturally, as Jamila said, a affirming person, and that actually goes into my insecurity, where I spoke about this in my 10 things I've learned from being a boyfriend. I believe it was number 9. Was it number 9?
No.
From number 8. One thing I've learned about Jamila is that she loves me for who I am and not what I do. So I play piano. As those of you who may have like scrolled down my channel a little bit back in the old days or whatever, y'all probably like peeped. Sometimes like I just like to dabble with the piano, you know, like have fun with it and everything. I actually played keyboard for my church back in New York, and I wouldn't call myself the best keyboardist, the best piano player, but I did not realize how sucky of a piano player I was until I came here to Liberty, where everybody's like up here and I'm like down here, and then on top of that you have Jamila, who's a phenomenal singer, and it's like, sheesh. One of the ways that I used to always show off for the girls that I like talked to in my past or whatever was like by playing the piano, and you know, like if it was like a close distance relationship, like, you know, sometimes they just sit beside me, like we play, I'd play or whatever, and they're just like mesmerized by it or whatever. That didn't get to Jamila when I did it. It's gotten to the point where I actually at one point I refused to play piano around Jamila because I saw how much better everybody else was, especially people that she knew. And even for one of her recitals, I think I uploaded that video up to YouTube as well. She sang, and there was this other guy named Mark. He's a talented, phenomenal pianist, musician. And he played for her and everything, and they just did so great, and I just had to sit there and watch. And yeah, she sung beautifully. It really moved me. Mark, he played so beautifully and everything, like in a way that I would probably never be able to play. In fact, I went home and I tried to like learn it, and I could only get like the first few parts or whatever. It was just ridiculous. And I remember being so insecure about that. One of the ways that I also try to like woo Jamila and tried to woo like the girls in my past was through how deep I can be at times. Easter Sunday, back in 2015, I believe. We were at a friend's house and it was just a big old party and everything, and we were having like a deep theological discussion. Well, actually, I kind of started the deep theological discussion. I think I asked a question like about the difference between hell and Hades, something like that. And as I was like asking the question and everything and getting everybody's input, I gave my opinion. And from what I saw, everybody was like tuned in, like, yeah. And they're like listening and they were really attentive. I go home and about 2 days later, me and Jamila talk about it and she's like annoyed, like, why'd you have to spiral the whole conversation to some deep stuff or whatever? Like, she just seemed like annoyed about it and I was like, oh dang. Cause in my mind, I interpreted it like, yeah, she's looking at me like, oh, my man is so smart, all of that. But in contrary, she was actually thinking that I was annoying.
I wasn't annoyed because of the content. I was annoyed because I felt like he was the center of attention when nobody was actually like paying attention to him. People on my right, they're like making jokes, not at him, but just like talking to each other, making jokes and everything. And like, I don't know, I just felt like nobody really cared about what he had to say, but like he kept going. And I was like, I think because we literally had only been dating for like a month. And so I was super self-conscious about like him being a part of my identity. And so if he's like drawing all the attention, that like made me self-conscious. So I'm not saying that you were annoying. I was just saying because you're kind of a part of my identity, it was like everybody that was listening or paying attention to you, it was like they were paying attention to me at the same time. But I just felt like I don't really understand why that was happening because, like I said, it seemed like nobody was really listening from my eyes.
And then we later found out that everybody was listening. Basically, long story short, there's just several different examples of ways that I would try to like impress her, like through either her overhearing me discuss things with people or, playing the piano, my spoken word stuff. And it just seemed like everything fizzled. Like nothing seemed to make Jamila go like, wow, like, be amazed by me, like how the girls in my past used to be like, oh my gosh, Denzel, you're so good at this, blah, blah, and kind of like, gas my head up a little bit. I quickly learned that Jamila is just not that much of an expression. Like even though she said that she only shows it to me, even then it's not all that much because she's an authentic. She leads with introverted feeling authenticity. So she's all about keeping that feeling, those feelings like bottled up within her, and just expressing it in like practical different ways. And that was something that I really had to learn. The biggest advice was from her older brother, actually, and he actually just said something along the lines of, let me tell you something about girls. Or he said, let me give you a 101 on females. And he basically told me that when you're trying to score them, or like when you're trying to, win them over, then they start to, to like be attracted, like they like all the fancy stuff. But once you finally won them over, all that you really have to do is just continue to display love, good character, and a whole bunch of, like just who you are, because now they're interested in who you are, not what you do. And so after he told me that, then ever since then, I started becoming more comfortable and less insecure about like, dang, you know what? I'm not really a great pianist. Dang, I can't really sing. Oh, dang. My spoken word piece was not like as mind-blowing as Ezekiel Ozonwu's spoken word pieces could have been or whatever. But that's okay because she still loves me, and it doesn't matter how great Kobe or Mark can play the piano. It doesn't matter how great Ezekiel can do his spoken words. Doesn't matter how deep and philosophical David Platt or John Piper is. She loves me. And once I was able to accept that, then it's like now, whoever plays piano for other recitals, I don't even give it a second thought.
Just like he had to basically remember who like he is to me and everything, I had to do the same thing. I still have to do the same thing. Just reminding myself that even though on the outside it almost looks like, oh, like, I love you, you're such a great person, you're so pretty, you're awesome, you're so funny. And then it finally gets to me, it's like, okay, but like, he chose me. And that's something that he's had to realize too. I chose him in a way.
After 2 years.
I think I started to not be attracted to Denzel, but I guess tolerate him more after he stopped trying to prove himself to me. And so like that was my part, but also his part consciously based on what my brother told him, and also consciously based on MBTI and everything. If you don't know, ENFJs, since they're just all about like trying to make people happy and not be unforgettable and everything like that. So Denzel was always trying to prove himself to me in various ways. Sometimes I realized it. Sometimes I mostly realized it when he would be literally talking about himself, but other times I didn't notice, I guess. But so like all of those things, like talking to my brother and then learning more about his personality, but also me just accepting him for who he was, because I really did like Denzel as a person and do like Denzel as a person. It's just he was like always trying to be the center of attention. And I'm just like, that's not necessary. And I think that now, like I said, it's his part and my part. Like I tolerate him more, but also he doesn't try to be the center of attention like nearly as much as he used to, because he's just that in tune with himself and understanding that he doesn't need to prove himself to other people or to me, and he doesn't have to be the center of attention, whether it's for me or for other people to like him. That's just another thing too. Like we talk about MBTI all the time, but it really is important in every like relationship or friendship that you're in to understand why you do the things you do and how to make it better for yourself and for your partner or your friend or whatever. Like Denzel was saying, I'm not the most verbally affirming person. By God's grace, I've been working on that. But after he's like understood my personality and understanding the way in which I show love and all that type of stuff, then he's been like, okay, even though she doesn't do this or she doesn't do this, she does this, and nobody else has done that for me before. So that's not a bad thing, it's just different.
A big part of that is really just learning about your partner. Like, I think whatever videos that we do in the future, it's gonna revolve around learning about your partner. And I think that's why we incorporate MBTI so heavily into all of our material, because it's just that important. And it's not even just MBTI. There are other models out there. We're going to be talking about the 5 love languages by David Chapman. Is that David Chapman? Gary Chapman. We're going to be talking about the 5 love languages by Gary Chapman in in one of our future videos, and that has really helped. But just a brief like overview of that. As Jamila said, like, she knows I'm an ENFJ. We just naturally like to, affirm other people. We are verbally expressive, and we heavily appreciate people like giving us words of affirmation and everything, which is one of the 5 love languages. And so the words of affirmation is actually pretty high on my list. And as for Jamila, she's not a words of affirmation type of person, but she's more of just like, we both are quality time, which I said we're going to talk more deeply about. But she's more of like I'll silently show you that I love you. Like, I'll allow my actions to show it. And so in that sense, Jamila shows like a fierce, very fierce, strong, devoted loyalty that just screams like, I appreciate you, I love you, all of that, even without her having to like smile at me or like be happy. Like, so I've just gotten used to, like, you know, greeting her like, hey Jamila, you know, or like, Jamila, I miss you so much, and then she'll just be like, missed you too. Even today when she like walked in, she just looked like she looked like about to see my boyfriend. But I've learned that she's not really thinking that in her mind. Hopefully I've learned that she's not really thinking that in her mind, but it's just how she portrays herself, or like how she expresses herself, because she's not that. As an ISFP, they're all about actions, not words. In fact, they believe that words are cheap. So, you know, I wonder how this will work, because I believe that words are extremely valuable or whatever. But in that sense, like, they're just not really good with expressing their affection in a verbal way, as opposed to me. I'm like very good at it. Instead, I had to learn that, okay, I have to learn to understand your language of showing me love through this mode and this mode and this mode. And then after I learned to understand that, and I learned to see that, and I learned to pay more attention to that, then my security just grew a lot more. And also, just like what she was saying, my freshman year was terrible. I was definitely an attention seeker, because I just really wanted to like prove myself, especially around Jamila. Like, Jamila said that I used to talk to her about myself like all the time. And it's funny because everybody else says, even yesterday somebody was telling me like they never hear me like talking about myself. And I was like, yeah, nobody's ever told me that I talk about myself a lot. But I realized after like thinking about it, we talked about it one time, it's like, wow, I was naturally talking about myself a lot to Jamila, because for once I felt like I had to prove myself to her. And so I kept on saying, yeah, you know, like I just said all of these different things to try and like woo her. I tried to play the piano for her, I tried to do this, I tried to do that, tried to like become the center of attention when we were in social spheres and everything. I'm impressing everybody but her.
I told Denzel, basically, we were just sitting on the bus one day, and I was like, basically, why can't you be like this all the time? Like, we were just sitting on the bus having a normal conversation. I was like, I specifically told him, I was like, I like this side of you. And he was like, really? Like, yes. I don't understand why people feel like they gotta do the most.
And
It's
that's
okay.
the side of me that I show probably, 80% of the time now?
Yeah.
Long story short, I just really learned a lot about myself. I learned to like start just developing myself more, becoming more of who I am on the inside instead of who I thought other people wanted me to be. And in becoming secure in that, I became more secure in our relationship. And same thing with Jamila. I feel like you've never really had a problem with like conforming to whatever everybody else wanted you to be, even to this day, because then the lesson for today is just to make sure that you know that your partner, hopefully, loves you for who you are.
And if they don't, get out.
Yeah. Get out. Your partner loves you for who you are, not for what you do, not for the money that you're making, none of that. Because if you ask, I like what Kirk Franklin said one time. He said, if I asked you who is Michael Jordan and you said a basketball player, that would be wrong. Michael Jordan is a father. He is a, like all of you guys get what I'm trying to say. In that sense, basketball is just what he does, but it's not who he is. In the same sense, piano is just something that I do. Spoken word is just something that I do, but it's not who I am. Once you learn who you are, then you are able to display that, and then you're able to become more comfortable in your own skin. Well, thanks for watching today, and be sure to check out our 2 blogs, 10 things I've learned from being a boyfriend and 10 things I've learned from being a girlfriend. We talk about a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about in future videos in there, so you can get like a little preview from that, and even some of the things that we talked about here. Check those out at dz2blessed.wordpress.com. That's DEEZY2wordpress.com. You'll see that and a whole bunch of other blogs. Be sure to check out the description below, and we'll put like all of our social media platforms and all of that. And be sure to check out our other JamZel Ask and Tell videos.
So, these video series is called JamZel Ask and Tell, but nobody's been asking anything. Not that that's a bad thing, because we have a whole lineup, but the point of these videos is to start discussions and for you guys to ask questions that hopefully we can answer and tackle. And so yeah, if you have any questions, you know, put it in the comments section or ask me or Denzel personally, like, hey, I really like if you guys would talk about this on your videos, stuff like that.
Yeah, we read all comments, so be sure to let us know.
Done.
Hey, smoke that line. Oh, smoke that line. Smoke that line.
Jamila, your birthday's tomorrow. You're about to be 21. Are you excited?